Alright guys, next we have Glyph of the Moon Beast. Alright, Glyph of the Moon Beast, what does this do? This is for balance, but it's actually a really good leveling glyph if you're Boomkin. It's very nice to be able to not have to transform in and out of Moonkin form. But again, for Resto Druid, it's not really important. Glyph of Wild Growth adds an extra target, but increases the cooldown by 2 seconds. Is that extra 2 seconds worth the one additional target? Absolutely. Why? Because we're not spamming Wild Growth, okay? Unless we're in a 25-man raid, we're not spamming Wild Growth, and even if we are, especially if we hit that that haste cap where we get the extra tick from Wild Growth, it's worth it to have that additional target over that 2 seconds, because if you think about it math-wise, okay, you have one additional target taking X amount of extra ticks over that 2 seconds. How much more throughput is that? It's quite a bit, okay? As opposed to the X amount of ticks during that 2 seconds that you would spam. The problem is if you're like me and you're raiding a 10-man, okay, you're not really going to be too worried about it because you're using it when damage comes out, because it's kind of it's a smart heal, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to use it when needed, not necessarily on cooldown. It does have a low mana cost, but we're not going to use it on cooldown. We're going to use it when we need it. Okay, Wild Growth is not a spell that we just randomly cast whenever we feel like, especially in a 10-man. It needs to be strategically used now. So having that additional target is just more healing done. It makes life a little bit easier. Definitely take this glyph for raiding. Again, for 5-mans and challenge modes and dungeons and heroics, we don't need it because very simple, as there's only 5 people in our group and it already heals 5 people. So there's no need to take that unless you're raiding. Raiding, that's going to be a decent glyph, okay? And again, it might not be one that you take every fight, but that's the cool thing that Blizzard's doing, all right? So let's move on. Cat form. As a Resto Druid, we do not need this glyph. It increases the healing done to you by 20% while in cat form. Entangling Roots. Reduces the cast time of your Entangling Roots. Who cares? Phase Silence. Fairy Fire used in bear form also silences the target for 3 seconds, but triggers a 15-second cooldown. Who cares? Fairy Fire increases the range of your Fairy Fire by 10 yards. Who cares? And Ferocious Bite. Ferocious Bite ability heals you for 1% of your maximum health. Who cares? Alright, none of those are worth anything. Frenzied Regen. Again, this is not going to be for Resto Druids. The only time that I can see this being somewhat useful would be if you remember in Cataclysm. I remember in Firelane specifically in our 25-man, if a tank would go down, we had a druid who would step in and cast bear form, cast a Frenzied Regen. So if you combine Frenzied Regen with Might of Ursoc and then you glyph both of those, you know, you can actually survive as a tank for a couple seconds if need be. The problem is, should we be glyphing for our tanks to fail? The answer is obvious, no. We don't want to glyph in the chance that our tanks will fail. We want to glyph to put out more heals and to heal better, not to, oh crap, the tank just died because I suck. No, we're not doing that. Master Shapeshifter reduces the mana cost of all shapeshifts by 90%. No. Maul, Glyph of Maul. Maul ability now hits one additional target for 50% damage. Who cares? We are Resto. Pounce increases the range of your pounce. Again, we're Resto. Who cares? Regrowth increases the critical chance of your regrowth by 40%, but removes the periodic component of the spell. What does this essentially do? This guarantees us a regrowth crit. Okay? It guarantees a regrowth crit. Very useful. Very useful. As a matter of fact, when I was researching today what I'm going to be leveling with for dungeons, I am going to be taking Rebirth, Glyph of, oh gosh, what's one? Rejuve, and I'm going to be taking Regrowth because I want the ability to, if I'm going to waste mana on that hard quick heal, I want it to be a guaranteed critical heal. I want it to be a big meaty heal. I would replace this with Glyph of Healing Touch for the current time being, especially for running dungeons, due to the fact that Healing Touch Glyph is simply going to reduce the cooldown on my Swiftmend, whereas the Regrowth is, especially if I pop Tree Form, I have well, not free, but instant regrowths. Nice thing about instant regrowths, very simple, is especially if they're critting, how much healing are you going to be doing? You pop your tree form and you're putting your life blooms out. Well, someone drops your regrowth. You get in the Omen of Clarity proc, your regrowth. But now you're guaranteed that crit. You're guaranteed a crit. That's pretty decent. If we wanted to try it, let's see how hard regrowth hits, just for fun. If I had my thing on, it would tell us, but I don't. So let's turn it on real quick because I want to see what we're going to get here. So if I go to add interface to add-ons, mix scrolling, oh, nope, mix scrolling battle text, and incoming. Let's turn this on for the time being. Cast a regrowth. Boom, 22k non-crit, 42k crit, 43k crit, 44k crit. See what I'm saying? So yeah, there's 44.5. And what you got to remember too is you got your harmony, if you've got any procs going. Okay, now the only bad thing about this glyph, but I just want to show you that, the only bad thing about this glyph is it removes the periodic defect. The good news is especially in dungeons, and like I said, for dungeons I'm definitely, and while leveling I'm definitely going to be using the glyph of regrowth, is because wild growth will hit everybody, right? So, and I'll have my life blooms rolling on my tank, rejuves where necessary. So I'm going to have hots on people. Do I need that extra regrowth hot? I don't think it's really worth it. Is it worth it to... Think about it this way. If I know that I can have a 44k crit in a short cast time or a free cast time, if I know I can do that, why do I need the periodic effect, especially if I'm in a dungeon, when I know I'm going to have some kind of hot rolling on said person, right? I mean, we always have our Cenarian Ward, we have our Wild Growth, we have Rejuve, we have so many other abilities that hot, why not have a nice, quick, fast, meaty heal? Screw the periodic effect on it, okay? That's kind of my theory going forward. And again, you might not agree with me, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that I'm going to use this 100% in Raid, but this makes this glyph a very, very strong glyph. This is what is one of the ones that I'll be using, okay? Let's move on, though. Glyph of Shred. While Berserker or Tiger's Fury is active, Shred has no positional requirement. I don't care, it's a feral glyph. Stampeding Roar. This glyph is actually really, really cool, okay? I really, really do like this glyph, increasing the radius of Stampeding Roar by 30 yards. If we look at Stampeding Roar right now, what is the radius? Increase the movement speed of all friendly targets within 10 yards. So it makes it 40 yards. That's huge difference, guys, okay? If you watch any of the Fat Boss videos and you've seen that one boss in the Heart of Fear where you have to go from platform to platform, they have their druid using Stampeding Roar to get them from one platform to the other while... You know what I mean? Like so they don't get that extra tick, so they don't take all that extra damage, so they're not in the mist as long as they have to be. Excuse me. They use Stampeding Roar. Well, the problem is if you're not all grouped within 10 yards, which let's be honest, you're probably doing it wrong if you are. Not everybody's going to get that. They're going to have to use personals. It's like, especially for that fight in particular, I can see it being very useful. The one video I saw of Method doing the fight, like Li Shi, I think it is, or Li Shan or whatever, where the boss knocks you back and you have to like run towards him so you don't take damage. I think Stampeding Roar would be kind of a cool spell for that time as well. I can see various times that being a very worthwhile glyph to have in your arsenal to make sure that you're hitting the maximum amount of group members. But again, it's going to be as a per fight basis, which is okay. All right, there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a per fight basis and switching glyphs accordingly. So let's move on to the next one. And lastly, Survival Instincts, which is a Guardian glyph. Reduces the cooldown of Survival Instincts, but who cares? Okay, not me. So anyway, guys, those are the glyphs that we have. I would really like to emphasize kind of as a summary of everything that I've done over the last 20 minutes is, as we've kind of learned, there are viable options, okay? All the way through, there really are. There's some different glyphs that, and you might see something that I don't, and please leave in the comments below if you do, or if I made a mistake or said something wrong, please let me know. But from what I've read and what my play style at least tells me that we're going to have the choices of Regrowth, Rebirth, Life Bloom, Healing Touch, Rejuve, and Stampeding Roar, which are going to be some of the primary glyphs that we're debating between. So we have 6 glyphs to put in 3 glyph spots. If you look at a lot of other classes in Mists of Pandaria, they do not have that that ability, that nice change up. If you look at a lot of like mages in particular, I was looking through some of the glyphs, and sometimes there's only like 1 or 2 glyphs that I'm like, well, that's the only one I really care about. Or, you know, like hunters, like I was like, yeah, this one's kind of okay, this one's kind of okay, this one's kind of okay. Like I wasn't really like awestruck by any of them. Whereas a Resto Druid, we really do have like a lot of utility. We are going to be extremely valuable raid members to have a Resto Druid on your team. Everything that I've seen so far, and all the top end guilds want Resto Druids as at least as one of their healers. I have not seen many 10-mans or especially 25-mans, but 10-mans as well, of groups that don't run with a Resto Druid. And it's not because they're necessarily the strongest healers in Mists. If you watch my Disc Priest video, it's stupid because I cast 2 spells and I did 52k HPS the entire fight. Okay, like that's seriously, like some of the Disc Priest stuff is really like just strong. Like it is strong. I really honestly think that people bring Resto Druids to their raid because they have so much utility and they can really cope with every situation you put them in front of. Okay, I need you to do this. I need you to reduce damage on this guy. Well, now we have Ironbark. I need you to, you know, heal the crap out of this. Okay, well, we have Trank, we have Tree of Life. And don't forget, guys, we have level 90 talents coming too. I think everybody's kind of, you know, forgetting about that too, is we have an entire new row of talents coming that are all extremely nice, okay? They all will have a purpose. So I want you guys to really go through and remember that when we hit level 90, some of these glyphs may end up outweighing other ones based on your talent choices. But also remember too that there's a reason that a good Resto Druid always has a home. Okay, there's a reason that people are always looking for Resto Druids for a raid group. It is because we can do every single task. And a lot of times, if we focus on that task and we glyph up to that task, and they tell us, hey, for this fight, we need you to do this, boom, I'm swapping this, I'm swapping this, I'm swapping this, I've got this ready, I've got this ready, let's do it, let's go, and you just kill people, right? I mean, well, you do the opposite of kill people, you heal people. But you know what I mean, right? Like, I mean, you can literally just destroy any other healer in your abilities alone. Okay, and that's why it's really important to make sure that you're always just tweaking and messing around with stuff as a druid, because you want to be able to do everything that your guild asks you to do, everything that your raid group asks you to do. You want to be able to say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to own everybody, and then I'm going to leave and I'm going to get my shiny purples. Guys, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe below. Thank you very much for watching. My next video will not come out until I am level 90, okay? I say that now, who knows? But I'm serious. I really want to try to not do another video until I get 90. I want to come back and really play with these last 3 talents. I want to go over kind of an overview. I want to start getting those guides out for you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the Mists